Hey everybody, welcome back to the Dungeon Dive. Daniel here. Alright, I'm here again with HEXplore It, and this time taking a quick look at Valley of the Dead King, talking about it a little bit, and also talking about Sands of Shurax a little bit, and why I decided not to keep that game. One thing in general about HEXplore It is I think that at the end of my gaming career, at the end of the time where I am like really dedicated to playing these kinds of games, I have a feeling that HEXplore It or the HEXplore It series is going to end up being one of my most played series of games ever. I'm just kind of constantly thinking about this game while playing others. This is the game that I was really thinking of while I was playing Journey to the Overland. It is, for me, one of just the very best adventure hex crawl games, and one of the very best games at just giving me that sense of adventure and presenting on the table an adventurous landscape to explore, things to discover. And a lot of that has to do with the quest cards and how they coincide to certain hexes on the board. For instance, I have this quest out here now, Explore, that it is rumored that Civ, the Siren Queen, has hidden an item of special importance to the dead king inside an old shipwreck in exchange for her life. Go there and seek it out. And if you look at the board here, there's actually a ship in the hex where you need to explore. And there's just all kinds of things like that where the map works in tandem with the quest cards, adding a real sense of time and place. And the HEXplore It guys, the crew, the team did a great job of just making the map look so much better than when I very first saw this game on the first edition, when it was on Beer and Board Games, and that was the first time I ever saw it. But Sands of Shurax, so I pretty quickly added that to my sale pile. And there are a couple reasons why. The main reason is that I think it added certain layers of complexity to the system that, for me, didn't make the game better. It didn't heighten the sense of adventure. All it did was make the game more complex and make me have to dive into the rule book more often while I was playing it. And the systems in that game just kind of kept getting in the way of me having fun. And I think the main system that they added that I did not like was the multiple victory conditions that you could choose from at some point during the game. There were 4 different ways that you could win that game, and I found it very difficult to determine when I was supposed to choose one over the other. And sometimes certain random things could happen where you could be locked out of one of the win conditions. And if you happen to pick that win condition as one to follow, well, that could really set you back some time. One of the other systems that I didn't like was how you had the map, how you had like kind of like the main continents on the outside with the desert hot tiles in the middle, and how you had to travel from with a caravan to and from the 2 different land masses. To me, that just added a whole bunch of cumbersome mechanisms. It added a time, and it added this sense where I was not really exploring the land as a whole. They were 2 different kind of segmented areas, and I found that neither of them were really fleshed out as far as what was going on. And there were a number of things. The reputation system I felt was too cumbersome, and that didn't really add anything to the flavor of the game for me. And so I went and I as soon as I added that to the sale pile, I went and bought Valley of the Dead King, because I wanted I want to experience as many of these HEXplore It games as possible. And as most people who watch the Dungeon Dive know, I have fell in love with Volume 2. And going back to Volume 1, which even strips away a little bit of the few of the layers and complexity they added to Volume 2, Volume 1 is just a real sense of pure adventure. It's a very simple game, and I'm finding that I might even like this more than 2. I don't know. It's a tough choice. This one is just it's such a solid foundation upon which they are building on. And I know the newest one, Volume 4, that was just kickstarted. I saw a chart where they are kind of taking it back in many ways to the simplicity of Volume 1. And they are rolling back the amount of complexity and the layers from Volume 3 to be a more straightforward game like Volume 1 and Volume 2. I think it's kind of like right in the middle of Volume 1 and Volume 2. So I'm really looking forward to that a lot. But in this game here, I am playing the Automaton Brute T1199, and imagine that guy as being kind of like a robot looking dude. He is kind of my striker. He's my main fighter there. And I am also playing as the Elf Spellblade, one of the hybrid exclusive characters there. And she is kind of like my utility, and sapper. So she's up against some different, she's good at whittling away the enemy's energy. And the energy, of course, is what they have that the enemies can use to execute their special abilities. But one of the things I really do like about Valley of the Dead King is, believe it or not, the timing mechanism that adds a sense of urgency to this game. I think it is one of the better timing mechanisms that I have experienced in a game, and that's because it is both simple and highly thematic, and there are ways to mitigate it. So the timing mechanism works like this. You have the Dead King, and at the beginning of the game, the Dead King is not on the board yet. At the end of each round, you're going to roll a d6. On your first round, if you roll a 6, he comes out. Second, a 5 or 6. Third, 4, 5, or 6, and so on. So eventually he's going to come out. Well, in this game, I had really bad luck. He came out at the end of my first round. And what you do is you roll the d6 again to see which of the cities that he is going to come out on. There are 6 main cities in this game. So in this first turn, for the end of the first round, he came out on City 2. And one thing that I have been doing in this game that I'm playing here is I'm playing it very slowly, and I am reading through the storybook. And so when you travel to certain areas, when you trigger certain things, you can look up in this storybook to read about certain things, certain places, certain items that you might come across, certain characters you might meet, and so you can read about all the cities and just all of the different things that you might come across in this game. Sorry, everything in this game is super glossy, and it's picking up the light like no one's business. But yeah, I'm really enjoying just kind of reading through this book slowly as I am playing and learning about the game. Another great thing in the 4th volume is they are adding all kinds of art to the game finally, because the art that is here is so good, but there's just so little of it when you're actually playing the game. But there are encounter cards that you can buy now that are going to have art on them, and they really seem to be upping the visual appeal finally in this 4th edition to just the cosmetic look of the game, and I'm really looking forward to that. But back to the timing mechanism. So the Dead King, he comes out, and his whole goal is to take over, to destroy all 6 of these cities, and then once he's done that, he is going to track down your party and attack your party. So what happens is he comes out onto a city. You place one of these Dead King markers there, symbolizing that that city has been taken over. And then he has a certain number of movement points depending on how many cities he's taken over. Once he's taken over a city, you roll the d6 again to determine his next target. Well, in this case, it was this city up here. And so he moved up here and then took over that city. And then every time he takes over a city, he gets faster and faster. And so the crunch, the time pressure is on as he is taking over more and more cities. So he took over this city, and his next target was over here. And we have his little target hex there. So he's going to be moving over there, and then he might have to come down here, and then there, and then maybe finally here, depending on how we roll. So I think that's a really good timing mechanism, because he gets faster and more powerful as he takes over cities. That's thematic because he's building up his power, he's building up his army, his entourage, and moving across the land, getting stronger and stronger, you know, destroying the allied cities. And then finally, he wants to track down your party and kill him. Well, what you can also do is you can move into a city that he's already taken over, and you can fight his minions there and save the city to make it come back out again. So there are ways to slow him down and then make him need to focus on a city that he's already destroyed, thus prolonging the inevitable. The inevitable confrontation with the dead king. So yeah, really neat timing mechanism. I like it a lot. It's one of my, it was one of the things that pushed me away from the game before I decided to change my mind on HEXplore it, because hearing about the timing mechanism wasn't filling me with a lot of confidence, because there are so many games that I don't like the timing mechanism. But this is an example of one that I think really works, and a lot of that is because it is thematic. It's not just an arbitrary number of rounds until the players lose the game. Another way I really like to play HEXplore it is I like to play with a pre-set up map, where I put out all of the large tiles and the medium-sized tiles and a few of the smaller tiles in a random way that makes a single continent to explore. So I don't actually have a stack of tiles that I draw when I get to the edge of a map. I keep everything out, and it does make the game a little easier because you aren't searching for certain quest locations. But I find that I have more fun that way. And because it's all random, things are always changing, so I never know exactly where things are going to be. And another benefit to playing like that is just you kind of know how much table space your map is going to take up, and so you can plan accordingly. So that is a nice little pro tip for people like me with small gaming tables, that I don't think it takes much away from the game playing with everything set up from the beginning. It does make planning things a little easier. You're not hunting for certain quest locations. But I also think it works thematically because you are playing characters who are native to this land. And I feel like they would kind of know, or at least know of rumors of general directions where certain things would exist. But yeah, I just wanted to do a quick video. I know I haven't been doing a lot of videos lately. I did just post on the Patreon that, yeah, it has just been really busy lately. My work is absolutely kicking my butt. I've been working like some 10-hour days lately. And that is probably going to continue through June. I did just get my second vaccination shot, and that kind of wiped me out for the last week. And coming up at the end of June, I also have jury duty. So June is going to be a pretty slow month on the Dungeon Dive. I am going to try to get to one video a week. I think that's what I can commit to. So if you guys are expecting more, sorry about that, but hopefully in July we can return to more videos. Hopefully things slow down a little bit. So all right guys, well I just wanted to just touch briefly again on HEXplore it. This is a game that you're going to be seeing a lot more of on the Dungeon Dive, I can guarantee that, just because of how much I have fallen in love with this game and how much it just triggers in me that sense of adventure, almost better than a lot of other games that I play. And it is a game that I think very highly of, a series that I think very highly of, even if I don't like, you know, maybe one or two of the volumes. I don't know. Who knows if I'm going to end up liking Volume 4. I love Volume 1. I love Volume 2. I didn't like Volume 3. But I have a feeling from what I've read about Volume 4 that it's going to be kind of a return to a more pure sense of adventure without those unnecessary layers of complexity. So, all right, guys. Well, we will talk to you later. And take it easy. Bye-bye.